I'm scared to tell you this story, but it must be done. It was years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. We were staying at my uncle's farm while we were visiting family. It was an old farmhouse with creaky floorboards and swinging doors. My brother and I were staying in one of the bedrooms while our parents stayed in another. In the middle of the night, I woke up to screams. Big guttural screams that sounded primal and horrible. I remember hiding under my blanket in bed, with my eyes squeezed shut, trying to make the nightmare go away. Then I started hearing chains dragging metal moans and growls. My brother, who had been sleeping with his mouth open, woke up with a gasp and yelled, "What was that?" I didn't answer. I couldn't answer. All I could do was shake with fear as more screams echoed through the old house. After what felt like an eternity, the commotion outside our room slowly faded into the night, and I fell back into a fitful sleep. In the morning, after, of course, not sleeping at all, my brother and I got up and out of bed to tell our parents about the terrifying sounds we heard in the middle of the night. They said they hadn't heard anything and that we probably just imagined it. But I knew what I heard. I just knew it. Fast forward a few months, and we were telling our parents about those scary noises again. This time, our dad said, "Well, if you kids want to hear some scary stuff, there's an old legend about this very farm that you can hear me tell." Back when the farmhouse was first built, a traveling circus came through town and set up camp nearby. One of the acts was a vampire, or so he claimed. The so-called vampire would put on a show for the crowds by biting people and drinking their blood. Of course, it was all fake, or so everyone thought. But then, one day, a farmer from the area decided to test it out for himself. He asked the man to bite him so he could prove once and for all that it was fake. Well, as the story goes, the farmer stuck his arm out to the so-called vampire and he bit down hard. And wouldn't you know it, the man's skin turned white as snow and his face grew pale. So then the farmer freaked out and ran home. The whole way he kept saying, "I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die." Well, sure enough, that very night the farmer was awoken by a terrible thirst, and he spent the night drinking his own blood until the sun came up. When his family found him in the morning, he was dead. And so the legend says that the vampire cursed the land so that anyone who drank the blood of another human being would be forever bound to the land and forced to drink the blood of others every single night, thus turning them into vampires themselves. And it's said that that's why sometimes at night you can still hear the moans and screams of the undead as they roam the land looking for fresh blood to drink. I think that's why sometimes at night you can still hear the moans and screams of the undead as they roam the land looking for fresh blood to drink. Well, I never thought much of it because I thought it was just a story. That is until one night we were awoken in our beds by chains dragging metal moans and growls. I remember hiding under my blanket in bed with my eyes squeezed shut, trying to make the nightmare go away. But then I started hearing chains dragging metal moans and growls. And every night after that, no matter how hard we tried, we were awoken by the same scary noise. My brother and I started getting terrified. We told our parents it was happening again, but they just said we were imagining things. But we knew what we were hearing, so we stopped going to sleep during the day, and we started taking turns watching while the other slept. One night my mom came into our room to check on us and see if we were awake. She told us to go back to sleep and that she would watch for a little while. Well, thank goodness, because soon enough we heard the sound again. Mom sat up in a chair by our beds and listened intently. After a while, the commotion outside our door began to fade away, and eventually it was silent. In the morning after, of course, not sleeping at all, we told our mum what we heard, and she said, "I'll investigate." She went out into the barn and around the property, but didn't find anything. This continued on for weeks, and every time our mum sat and watched, the noise would eventually go away. So one day, she made up her mind. She packed up the car and told us that we were going on a little vacation. That night the noise didn't happen once, and so we started to believe that maybe the legend was true, and that whatever it was had taken a break from us. The next day we arrived at our hotel room late at night, and my mum told us that she wanted to talk to us about what's really going on. She told us that she had been researching the history of the farmhouse, and she learned about a very disturbing legend. Legend has it that on the very same night that the farmer died, his entire family was awoken in the middle of the night by his screams as he drank his own blood until sunrise. Then, when they found him in the morning, they too were bitten by blood-sucking parasites that grew on his skin while he fed on his own blood. The parasites attached themselves to the family members, draining their life essence and turning them into flesh-eating monsters. Now, some say that these weren't vampires, but rather swamp creatures from the bayou that broke free from the swamps and sought refuge in the farmhouse. But others say that it was a pack of feral children who escaped from an insane asylum and made their home in the farmhouse. Either way, the legend says that sometimes you can hear the moans and screams of the undead as they roam the land looking for fresh blood to drink. And as she was telling us this, we could have sworn that we heard chains dragging metal moans and growls outside our hotel room. Well, my mom told us that she was going to find out the truth once and for all, and invited us to join her. As she opened the door, we could see the moon shining bright outside, and so we took flashlights with us and headed out into the dark. We walked around the perimeter of the hotel, but we couldn't find anything. A few days later, we were back home, and the noise hadn't happened once since we left. We breathed a sigh of relief and went about our days normally. That is until one night we were awoken in our beds by chains dragging metal moans and growls. Oh my gosh, it's him again. Maybe he's trying to get revenge on us for leaving him alone for so long. Or maybe it's a she. Who knows? All I do know is that I need to get out of here before she finds me. I'll meet you guys at the car. Okay, hurry up, let's go. Okay, coming. Well, now we're safely away from the house. But will we ever be safe from her? Or him? Who knows? All I do know is that I never want to go back there again. If you guys want to hear more scary stories, make sure to stay tuned.